All right, guys, so we are going to take a look at this match with Hampton and doubles. And I think, some of these things we can look at will help you hopefully set the tone for the rest of the year. We want to use this first exhibition or first scrimmage or whatever it was to, make sure we have good fundamentals moving forward. This first point with Nash with your cross-court targets. When you were in singles, you were complaining about feeling passive. And remember your cross-court targets. You can go down the middle, you can push the guy back deep, or you can hit your angle. You got to pick one. And if it's tougher, probably deep is the way to go. So differentiating between these targets and making choices will help you avoid kind of just keeping the ball in play, leaving it short, and then we get lucky that this guy blows it, trying to pass Vin down the line. It's good to see you guys communicating in between points. Nice serve, nice volley by Vin. Another good serve, Nesh. Really, I thought you served well the whole match, generally speaking. Then some of that is just playing and getting sharper, and getting used to the pace a little bit. But I don't mind double faults when you're really trying to do something with the second serve, because Vin, that's something we'll talk about later, but I mean, you double fault a little bit here and there, but you're doing really well on your second serve points, then double faults don't matter quite so much. So, that's something to think about a little bit, especially in doubles. But that overhead, you got to go down the middle. This guy plays a nice, good deep volley, and now we lose serve. You go down the middle in that overhead, and you guys hold serve pretty easily. Before we start this next game, look at this net guy's position. He is not being shy about being super tight up the net. If this is what my opponent is doing before the first point of their first service game, I'm doing one of two things. I'm lobbing him if the guy hits a good serve, because it'll be easy because he's way too close to the net, or I'm hitting him in the face as hard as I can to make him back the hell off of the net and let him know it's not okay. In either case, the way you start the match sends messages on what's acceptable or what they think they're going to be able to get away with. Guy hits a pretty good serve, and this is good stuff with the touch, and we're going to replay that for a second. So Nash, if going back to the stuff that we were talking about with anticipation with the whole team. So if Vin has got this guy on defense with his little touch short angle. So why are you moving back? You're going back to the baseline. And you remember that stuff on in the fall about what to do after you hit a drop shot? You go to the service line. Well, this effectively is a drop shot, and that Vin has hit. So as the guy goes after it, if you come up to the service line at least, then he can't lob you, and Vin's already up there, so he can't beat you with a short angle. So the guy has no options. But with you going back, now the guy can try to just bump it deep and hopefully, give himself time to get back in the point. And that's exactly what happens. And you feel it with your forehand because he's getting back in position. Now you've got to do something really, really good to make up for it. If you just come up when he's in trouble, at least to the service line, maybe closer because you're so tall, it'd be hard for him to lob you. You probably got an easy volley to knock that off. It's one set. So that's part of it. You're getting used to, you got a lot less time in a set than you do an 8-game pro set. Missing long, you guys miss long on second serve returns way too much. and throughout the course of this match. And look, we talk about returning deep middle and singles all the time. Depth does not matter unless you're lobbing. When it comes to returning in doubles, it's direction that matters. Going back to the cross-court targets, you can go down the middle, you can go deep, or you can hit your short angle. The short angle on these returns would have served you guys really well, because a lot of times the net player was, really trying to squeeze the middle and cut things off, and that's good for them. But if you're aiming for this singles line tee, you don't have to worry about that guy. The other thing you can do is, if you know the server's staying back and you really want to go deep, then you can just shape the crap out of it where it's almost like a lob, and that way you can avoid the net player. The other thing you can do to send a message on these returns, if you get a second serve into the body, a kick, and you got a net player that's way too close to the net, just run around your forehand and hit the shit out of it right at his chest. Here we got another second serve miss long. Same comment, If you go to that service line tee, you got that. Kid hits a good serve. Now we're down a break. And look, what the hell is the big guy doing in the middle of the no man's land? This is not a return position, okay? So this one doesn't exist. I don't know what the hell he's thinking. So he's completely out of position. So Nesh, as a net player, you got to recognize that. The same goes for you, Vin. If you got anything that you can hit after the serve, if the return comes back, this guy's going to have to be charging up super fast and super immediately. So that opens him up to being lobbed, because it's essentially the same as going behind him. If he ends up going back, then he's vulnerable to any kind of depth to that side at all. So since the guy stayed back, Nesh, if you hit a little touch short angle or you go deep anywhere to that side, the whole thing would go a lot differently. All right, so let's watch this point again. So the big guy puts himself out of position again here, and you got to recognize that. So there's the staggered formation, which is what should happen when anytime somebody from the baseline comes up to the net to join their partner at the net. The staggered formation looks like this. And then there's the reverse staggered, which is a wild mistake, where, the baseliner comes in way closer to the net than the guy already at the net. And now you got loads of real estate to lob over the dude's head cross court. Anytime somebody comes in on you like this and they're closer than their partner at the net, just lob them. It's wide open. I don't understand Nesh that volley target at all. You got to automate that shit down the middle, unless you have a reason not to, because you have no choice or there's an opening. You can also hit a short angle cross court the other way, but big guy misses another return. I don't think he hit a single good backhand return the whole match. He might have hit one out of I don't know how many. But if I were you guys play him again, I would serve exclusively to his backhand. Vin, this is an example of you got to do more of that second serve, at least in doubles. I mean, the way that you got to look at it is like if this is a 75-mile-an-hour prayer that's just sitting there in the middle of the box, that if he hit that to you, you would eat it for lunch. You'd probably attack the hell out of it. So that's how you got to look at it, and then it goes back to that second serve philosophy that I mentioned earlier when Nesh was serving. I mean, nobody cares about double faults if you're winning a ton of your second serve points overall. So don't worry about double faulting. Just hit an aggressive high percentage second serve wherever the hell you want. And if that means a few double faults every once in a while, it doesn't matter, because you'll be holding serve better. So the moment this game ends, I'm thinking about how you guys can break serve on the next game. I'm thinking that, okay, so to break the big guy, you just got to make him hit a bunch of balls, especially ground strokes, because you both are, I think, way better than he is from the ground. This is a good player, and he'll hit some big forehands and stick some volleys and everything, but generally, with how you guys can play, once you get his serve back and move him around a little bit, his game is all a bluff compared to what you guys have. Because his forehand's erratic, he can't move, he has no second serve, and his backhand is a no confidence push. Now, I'm not trying to rip this guy. I'm just trying to get you guys to start thinking in terms of, looking at your opponents, and it's like, what do I have that's better than what they got? So, getting to the point where you can make him hit a bunch of balls and move him around, that can be a challenge in doubles if he's pumping in 4 serves at 120 plus and his partner's poaching on everything. And especially if you guys haven't considered yet the lob return in doubles. Okay, so watching the second point here, Vin, getting cute with a drop angle, going behind the guy instead of sticking it to the middle, to the open space. You can use your touch all you want to set things up, but you also got to stick the volley in doubles to the open space when it's a clear option to finish. Nice return here, good close from Nash, but again, I don't understand why that volley goes back to him. You got to go down the middle. The big guy hits a good serve. But again, I think Nash, if you're willing to lob some of these, I think you get to that. The big guy hits a good second serve here, Vin, but at this stage, he hasn't hit a single good wide serve to the deuce side yet. So, you got no reason to be way up there, a step or two back. He's going body to tee every time. That might give you a little more time to do whatever you think on the return. It's you guys have a nice routine with who's going to take it on deuce deciding 3-0 points. But it's the same thing every time, no matter what. You might consider going with who's returning better in the moment. This whole game you guys played really well. Nash with some good serving. Good job, Vin, picking it off. Squeezing the middle on the second point. Another good serve from Nash. Vin picking off another one. This is good stuff, this whole game. But throughout this match, you guys are kind of returning from the same spot against both opponents serving, and I don't understand that at all, because the two totally different guys serving, even if it's just a minor adjustment of where you can position yourself to split for the return, it should be different. For first serve and second serve, it should be different for different opponents. Whatever it needs to be so you can get a good cut at the return is all that matters. Then there's a good second serve return. You had it on the second one. I don't think you need to do that going down the line, but that would have worked. I don't know how you feel on that one. Like I said, the white boy, he played a good match. It's an excellent forehand. This is what happens when things are going well. Okay, so on this volley, Nesh, um, because the white boy is moving way towards the middle, um, that volley, you can go that way. Um, but at the same time, like, you don't need to hit it that hard. If it's short and softer, it's actually further away from the returner. So if I were you and I'm going to go that way, which I wouldn't, I'd still go middle, unless it's easy, and then I'd go angle the other way past the big boy. But if I'm going to go behind the returner, I'm going right at the service line for the single sideline. Good serve from Vin. But like no serve and volley from either of you the whole match. So like these guys are totally comfortable. They know what to do. Big guy hits a lucky return down the line there. It is lucky. Why? Because he was 2 weeks late on the return. So, that may seem awesome in the moment, but it's not. So let's watch this last point again. Nesh, I like the angle volley. When they're both back like this, a shorter angle will work better. And especially that'll be easier to do if you take a little bit off of it. Otherwise, stick it down the middle. Then with this forehand right here, this would work, but you got to be awesome. It would work with an okay forehand right down the middle because it'll take them both out of position, and you got lots of court space to hit to with whatever volley either of you get, if it comes back afterward. Good reflex volley there, Nesh. Okay, and we'll stop. So, Nesh, what are you doing? What is that position? If you're going to be both back with him, that's way too far in. If you're going to try to be up, that's not even close to as far. So the reason is like, if the guy hits a volley in no man's land, now you're left with a half volley to return. Yeah, you can cover the short angle or anything short better, but you can do that when you're standing inches in front of the baseline just as well as you could. You don't want to put yourself in trouble by starting that far in if you're going to be both back. So where you're standing for that second serve, you got to be 2 steps closer to the middle. Why? Because if Vin hits a return, the net guy on the other team cuts off, you're leaving the middle wide open. So you gotta hug that center line a little bit more, a lot more than you are there. Good job here, Vin. But this is what I was talking about on the changeovers. The net guy, white boy's way too far close to the alley, starting the point. So like you have tons of room to do anything down the middle, unless they're doing a serve and switch poach, which, the guy's done, so I get it. But at the same time, like, he's way too far over. You got lots of room, and he's not doing that much poaching at the net throughout the course of this match. So this is what I was talking about on the return. So there's no reason to feel any pressure to be perfect. Guys had a ton of chances. It's too bad you couldn't convert on any of them. On the break points you had, they played well. They did a lot of good things. Particularly the big guy coming up with some big serves and some big moments. But just a lot of chances here. So. But yeah, it was good to see you guys get out there and back in playing. Use this match as a chance to set some performance goals. It's a chance to get sharper. It's a scrimmage. But it's a chance for us to set some goals and take a look at some fundamentals that we can clean up with your anticipation, with the net positioning, with some targets on volleys and returns, and look at some choices we're making so we can, take 1 week, one match, try to get a little bit better every time. The other thing we want to continue to do is keep looking for weaknesses in the opponents and keep looking for advantages that you might have over certain parts of their game. The worse you can make your opponents play, the easier it is to win. And whatever level that they are, you want to make them a little or much, much worse. And you can do that by making them do things they're very uncomfortable doing. Or in a lot of cases, you can do it by exploiting the errors that they're making already themselves. You guys are doing great. We'll see you soon.